What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is my review of That 90's Show, Season 2, Part A? What are we doing here? This was 8 episodes. The audio description is done by International Digital Center, narrated by Jeremy Lemchek. I don't know. I just... So I would totally watch a Red and Kitty series, and that's basically the reason I'm watching this. Let's be honest, Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp. I know there's no Y there. I don't know why it's slurred into a Y. Are excellent in their roles, and that's the whole reason I'm watching. Is basically they could have just had a spinoff of their own, and I would have watched that. They could have moved into a senior community. They could live somewhere where kids occasionally come in and annoy them, but they don't have to be related to them. You know, I think this is not the right. This feels like Saved by the Bell, the dumb class. It just is. I don't like any of these kids. Any of them. They all feel like they're just trying to recreate the mold from the original, but they don't know how to do it, and they don't know what made those actors special. So they've cast these actors, and I don't think any of these actors are necessarily special or pop out. And I'm not going to just say Ozzy's special because he's the gay representation in the show. Great. I love representation for me, and that's amazing, but he's basically Fez. They found a character and made them odd. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they found an oddity. Like, Fez was a foreign exchange student, but they couldn't do that twice. So they're like, ooh, what could we do in the 90's? That would be different. And that's how they come up with Ozzy, which in the 90's, everybody is really accepting of who he is, by the way, in his show, for the 90's. For the 90's, by the way. So, yeah. This is a show I've struggled with, but I do want to say Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Joy Rupp, and I'm really hoping Part B. It's not gonna be. Based on how Part A ends. By the way, this is like a review recap spoiler thing. There might be some spoilers. Warning. Based on how this ends, I would love for Part B of this season to just be the two of them in Paris. That, I think, would be delightful to just not have to see the other 6 kids. Just give it a trial run. Just give us a couple episodes with only them and see if people like that. Because I don't know who the target demo is for this show anymore, but I don't think there are a lot of people who are watching that 90's show who didn't watch that 70's show. I'm trying to think about it from if I was 18, would I be watching this? I don't know. You know, because even for us, when we were in the 90's, obviously the 70's were nostalgic. So it's almost like not the right generation to be hitting, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the sweet spot of that 20-year gap, right? You're trying to get, so that 70's show ran in the 90's. Well, we have that 90's show running in the 2020's. So you're getting an extra thing there, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to have it both. You're trying to get the people who want to watch an extension of the original show, who remember that 70's show, while also trying to attract a younger audience. But what you're doing is you've created an extra gap. This should be that 2000s show or that millennium show, if you're really trying to get the certain nostalgia from the same demographic that latched onto that 70's show. It would be that millennium show, but instead it's that 90's show, because you're hoping beyond all hope that maybe one day people like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis will show up and grace their presence, or Topher Grace will agree to do more than 5 seconds of the show. So, yeah, season 1 was more interesting because we had Wilmer Valderrama, who popped up more than he like needed to, but good for him. And the show needed it, but like Laura Prepon was in like one episode. Bob is popping up more. They're trying to find ways of bringing in that, because they know that that's what people are looking for when they're looking for a revival show. But ultimately, this isn't going to last very long because it doesn't have that. And a lot of the shows that don't have those cast members returning don't end up lasting very long. Like, I'm worried about the Frasier revival going the distance, because at some point you have to go, where are Niles and Daphne? And how have they not visited their son? They actually did the series worse by introducing a son for them and having that son follow Frasier. Because then it's like, are they ever going to visit him? Or is it just always going to be like, well, I went home for Christmas? Like, at some point you have to get them back. Whatever you need to do, they have to appear in the show. And the same thing is said here. At some point, you have to get Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis in this show. Whatever you can do. And if it was always going to be a no, then you shouldn't have done the show. You definitely shouldn't have anybody related to them in the show. Like you're trying to get them to come back. Be like, well, what if we write a character that's related to them? The problem is that the people who are looking for that, they end up, their hopes are constantly looking for those characters. If we're being honest, most of the people who watch Quantum Leap were watching it thinking that at some point Scott Bakula would be tricked into coming back. I spent the whole time thinking, he'll come back for the finale at least. Like, they'll find a way. They'll be like, listen, we're ending, and we just want to bring your dude home. Can you do one episode so we can bring Sam home? Like, I feel like he would have said yes to that. He's like, well, if this show's finally ending, and yeah, I'll come back. Let's do it. Unfortunately, that show got canceled because, again, it was taking place in the same universe without the characters. So this show is riding solely off of Red and Kitty at this point, and how much people like them and want to watch them. It does not ride off of the new cast. This is the mistake that other shows have made. We've seen this before. And I'll actually say that one of the shows to compare this with that I actually liked, where they actually took a cast, and it seemed like that they were actually trying to make a cast on their own that was different, was the Saved by the Bell reboot on Peacock, where they actually took a cast and made it different, and it was interesting, and it felt updated, and they had most of the returning cast. They had everybody but Screech that reappeared in the show, who was a major cast member. So everybody popped up, and some of those people were series regulars. So I think everybody but Lisa basically functioned in some form as a regular, because or a major recurring. So yeah, I don't know what the future of this show is, and this season dealt with everything from pregnancy scares, which I was like, sure, let's do it. I thought it would make the show more interesting. I thought if anything, maybe it would force the hand of, because then her baby daddy would be living here, and she'd want to live here, and maybe their parents would move home, and so we would get Laura Prepon and Topher Grace more full time. Like, those are the things you think about when you think about Girl Meets World. Also, you think about when were you really excited about it? And it was when the other cast members were coming back. That only ran 3 seasons. Most of the shows that focus too much on the new cast, if that cast isn't nostalgic for the old thing, if your young kids haven't grown up watching the old thing, then they're not really that interested. Fuller House had a lot of the original cast in it, and introduce a new cast. Um, so some of the others, and the ones that run longer seem to have the original cast as much of them as possible. Look at the Connors. It's in its 6th season. It's going to finish up with 6 seasons, and it has basically everybody but like Roseanne and like cast members who have passed. Because DJ was in it. I mean, he's not in it as a regular, but he's been in and out of the show. And I mean, they've had everybody else. So, and they were able to introduce other characters and build on that. But they have basically who you would expect coming out of Roseanne in the Connors. Um, so I don't know if the show can survive with Red and Kitty. And no, I don't think Bob occasionally popping up helps anything. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the kids. I don't think their storylines are very strong. They work at like Hot Topic, and they're like, oh, I mean, well, there's Cole, and he's hot, and I want to date him, and oh god, Cole's going away to college. Should I stay in the relationship? And there's like a secret relationship where people are having sex on the side, and like nobody can know. And I don't know. Ozzy was like dating some like grown man online, and then but not really, but then like was upset about it when they broke up. There was some of the plots in here were just so like uninteresting. Just I don't care about any of these characters. But Red and Kitty are really fun, and all of the best moments from these 8 episodes were because of them. All of all of the best moments, they were dumb. Honestly, a lot of them were dumb. Like when Kitty's upstairs and she's trapped and can't get downstairs, and she thinks that like, you know, her Red is downstairs with Carmen Electra. First of all, kudos to Carmen Electra for doing the cameo, but yeah, she's, you know, Carmen Electra's down there stealing her man is what her, because she's taking too many pain pills. Stuff like that was cute and was fun, but it's because they, you know, they have a rhythm. Those two share such, they've been scene partners for so long that they just bounce off of each other, and it's perfect. And they're great actors who just have a great pattern, and that's what you feel. And the show, if the show didn't have Red and Kitty, it wouldn't even exist. Honestly, the show, I don't think it does that well in the ratings for Netflix. I just think it's a cheap show to produce, and it's a brand, and that's why they're doing it. But I don't know how long the show's gonna last, to be totally honest. 3rd season, I would be surprised, and I don't think it's gonna go past that. I think at max this has a 3-season limit on it. So, but those are my thoughts on that 90s show. Audio description wise, it's a sitcom. So there's a lot of talking and not a lot of scene changes. But they use a lot of the same sets because that's what sitcoms do. It's a multicam. I believe it's shot, well, the original one was a multicam, so I'm assuming, I actually can't see, so I don't know anymore that if it is. I assume that they kept the format. That would be bizarre if they didn't. If it was suddenly a single cam. I'm assuming it's a multicam. So yeah, it's sets that are built and shot from certain perspectives. And they don't use that many in the same episode. So the audio description team does what they can. I think the best scene is really like that first episode when Leia is coming back and they're all standing in the kitchen talking about like who gets to hug her first, and they're like debating about it. And the like little like slow-mo run to the door that 3 of them have and like pushing out of each other, I think is probably the greatest highlight of the audio description of the series, because it has the most physical activity and has the longest amount of time for narration to happen. Otherwise, it's a lot of just sort of like establishing and like, you know, someone walks in the room, they react this way. You know, it's just a lot of like really quick things because you don't have a lot of time to do it. So it's well done, but it's not anything that people are going to be like, wow. Wow. If you're looking for that wow moment, it's in that very first part of the season, very first episode of the season, where they have a slow-mo run to the door, has the most substantial audio description. Anyway, Um, where do I feel now that I get to grade 8 episodes all together? I almost want to grade this like two separately things. So like, I'd like to give. Well, I'd like to do it this way. This is what I'm gonna do because I want Netflix to know where I'm at on this because I feel like I'm with a lot of That 70 Show fans. So I'm gonna give Red and Kitty an A minus. They don't get an A because they're not quite where they used to be. They're still stuck with like new material, different writers, retreading some of the same stuff, but I want to pull them out separately and say, you're doing a pretty bang up job, a pretty good job. And I sincerely believe that if part B didn't have any of the kids in it, I would still watch it. If it was just Kitty and Red doing things, I would still watch that. Um, the rest of the cast, the rest of the show, it ends up getting to be pulled down. It's kind of like a mediocre show. I'll give it like a C plus. I think it's balanced out by Red and Kitty somewhat, but I just really don't care about these kids. I don't. And there have been other shows where I care about the kids, the new characters more. And for some reason, I'm not latching onto these kids. I don't even know most of their names. And I've seen every single episode of the show. And I can think of like two of their names offhand, sometimes three. But I couldn't name all six of these people at the same time. Anyway, I just not that interested. So let me know what you think of that 90s show. Am I right? Do you not like the kids? Would you rather just see Kitty and Red doing their own thing in some sort of other situation as a true spinoff? Living their retirement age with occasional visits from Laura Prepon. Just, just, why are you here? I don't know. You're my in-laws. Where's our actual kid? And I don't know. He didn't want to be here. Uh, or, or do you actually like these new kids? If you actually like these new kids, please tell me why you like them. Like, what is it about them that you like? Maybe I'll find that. Maybe I'll find what you find once you tell me what to look for. Because I don't see it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.